Hello, my name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this is our post session zero, our session one for the Veil iterations. The Veil is a PbtA game of cyberpunk life without a very specific setting. It's a setting that we build together. Last time we did that character creation, we did that talking about what our world is like. We did some bond creation, and we also left some things for the players to talk about today that we're going to be discussing early on, in particular, entanglement, drives, questions. And I'll talk a little bit mechanically about a couple of other things that we have on the character keeper. But before I get too far, I do want to go through and remind us where we are. Again, we have the X card and we have the open door policy available to us. But let's go through our lines and veils. Again, I won't do this every session, but I think doing it early on is important. So we have hard lines on cannibalism, homophobia, racism, sexual assault, torture by the PCs, transphobia, fat phobia, ableism, and then primitivism and tech determinism, which is something we talked about with the palette that we'll come back to. And then we have veils on anything that involves harm to children or sexual content, and then ask firsts for mind control and PC betrayal. So that's a pretty clear list. Again, this is not locked in. It's not like we can't add anything to it. So if something does occur that you want to add to it, feel free to do that. We also have a romance matrix that you can check out there. So in terms of some things that we said, sort of kind of jumping off from our safety tools that we're kind of steering away from in our play are sort of real old school tropes. Nomads, guns, gangs, edge runners, all that very cyberpunk 2079, 2020 kind of thing. We're kind of it may be in there, but we'll undercut them or we'll invert them. We're not sticking with those tropes. We're also, because one of the things we have on the palette as a thing we'd like to see is the question of nature and the natural world, that a sterile presentation of life and technology is not something we're going for. We're going for a world that is messy and organic, mixed with the technological throughout. And then another thing that we're decided to, or we're kind of off the table, is AIs as inherently evil. AIs are just like people, or groups of AIs are just like people, and AIs where they're in the service to something are often driven by the agendas of people who command them, control them, that kind of thing. And things we are going to see. Power correlated with height, position, like describing our city in that way. We have the veil, which everyone is connected to, and we talked about ideas of sometimes unconscious feelings or things leaking out, things subconsciously manifesting. Related to what we said about the AI, technology not inherently good or evil, and that interplay of the natural and the technological. We also talked about that our world is post-scarcity in terms of resources, but we're looking at what that means in terms of how that plays out in the civilization, in terms of class, in terms of access, what is scarce, what is value, those kinds of things. We're also talking about ideas of bodily transformation, ideals of artificial intelligence, exploration of spiritualism, and possibly approaches to techno-mysticism, and some of those may be engaged with how the veil operates around everyone. And then lastly, and something I'm hoping that we'll kind of collaboratively come up with on the fly, is presentation of microcultures and societal cultures and communities within the setting that we're working in. So those are all things that we have kind of as elements that we would like to see. Now, let me talk a little mechanically about a couple of things that are on your sheet. I mentioned this last time, that you're going to have cyberware. You can choose that now or choose that later. One of the things is you may notice on your sheet where under gear cybernetics, there are 3 lines that have checkboxes by them. I would recommend putting your cyber gear, at least the name of it, in each of those lines next to that, because in play, you'll be able to check a piece of cyberware before you roll to give yourself a +1. Essentially, if a piece of cyberware is appropriate, you're fictionally putting it into play, you're using it, then you mark it there, and those clear out at the beginning of the next session or mission, depending on how things are going on the session. But that's a way for us to get those cybernetics in play, to us to explore the fiction of those things. You have bonds. We established those bond questions last time. Again, you can spend a bond to help that particular person. If you have a bond with another PC, you spend that and you give them a +1. You can do that after they roll. So before or after. This is one of those games that allows that. On the flip side, NPCs, you don't get bonds on them or with them, but you can get strings on them. Essentially, this is pull that you have on them to get to do things, and so you can record that there. The flip side of that is you have what's called a debt pool and a debt clock. Sometimes as a result of a hard move or even as a cost for things, someone will get added to your debt pool and you'll write their name in there. And when you first add a person to your debt pool, you also will add a tick to your 4-segment debt clock. When your 4-segment debt clock fills up, one of those people comes calling to ask you to do something. So that's kind of how there's that buildup of resources and debts as we go along here. I think those are the big mechanical things to talk about. Now, we have, as I mentioned last time, 3 sort of end of session triggers. One of them kind of ties in potentially to inner conflict as a move that we get in play. The first one of those is your entanglement. Your entanglement is a relationship you have with one person that is complicated by your connection to another person. So it is a triangle. Your drive is like what it is you're after. And then your question is something you want to learn, want to figure out. So I want to come around and check in with you and see what you've got, if we need to massage, adjust, if I can get things in place. So last time I had Mike, who had a cold, in the hot seat. So we're going to move one position over. And Jonathan, we've got the entanglement, drive, and question. Tell me what you've got for your entanglement.
Sure. I've got I'll be playing Trigger Heart for
Okay.
whose pronouns are they them.
Thank you.
And Trigger loves whiskey, who is their girlfriend.
Okay.
Um, but whiskey is jealous of someone in the group and
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
like it that Trigger is spending time with that person because they're jealous. So this is the entanglement
Oh,
that
okay. Yeah, and it's
and I've
fine to
got
do. Yeah, it's fine to do a PC. You could do 2 NPCs or PC and NPCs is
mhm.
good. Uh, is that Cora? I mean, I think you kind of tied yourself into that before.
I I didn't want to lock it in without floating it to the group. But Cora seemed like a natural fit. What do you think, Mike? Or
Yeah, that
am I not?
sounds perfectly reasonable to
Okay,
me.
cool.
So tell me about whiskey, how you're picturing them.
I've got a pick on the NPC
Oh,
tab.
take a look at that.
Yeah.
And what do you think they do?
Yeah. That's a really good question. I think they work security. not just security, but also cyber security.
Okay.
So like both providing, identifying threats and also helping to neutralize them. Now, I don't I don't want that to necessarily evoke the tropes that we're trying to
Sure.
subvert.
No, no, no.
But I think it'd be interesting um to think about why security is necessary in this kind of post-scarcity and classist societal structure that we're talking about. So I think it would be interesting and an interesting challenge to figure out how that fits in.
So tell me, does whiskey know about your transformation?
Oh, that's such a good question. And I definitely should have thought of, and I probably did, but I can't remember what my decision was. I think that she knows that something's up.
No,
I don't, yeah,
but doesn't have
I
a full
don't,
sense. Okay.
no, I don't, I think that's something that's kind of, I don't think she knows the full extent. Or, I'm not sure the trigger knows the
Right.
full extent either, but
So that may be like her complication perceptions of jealousy. She doesn't understand what's going on with you. There's maybe a whole
that's
set of
right.
things you can't
Yeah,
answer, don't want to answer. Okay. Okay.
yeah, lots of
Uh,
tension.
yeah. I think that definitely gives us stuff to work with there. What did you put for your drive?
Yeah. So the drive and the question that I'm going to answer are directly tied to the
Sure.
transformation that Trigger's undergoing. And I think Trigger's in a state of denial and is concerned and upset, but trying to escape the reality of this transformation and deny that it exists. And I think that's what's driving them this session.
So they right now are essentially trying to keep up that facade. Like that's very important to them to stay away from that, to do that. So you'll engage with that as an XP trigger when you do deny or when you try to evade, try to escape those questions. Okay.
Yeah.
And your question then?
Yeah, is can this work? Like, can Trigger return to the life that they know? Like, can they maintain the status quo and like and any of the ill effects, mitigate any of the ill effects from their transformation? Yeah, so I'm hoping the answer is no.
Okay. That
But we'll
seems
see.
fair.
Trigger's
Yeah.
gonna try, you know.
I think that's great. When we get done with all of this, we have a start a session move that you're going to be rolling. It'll be our first roll, and we'll come back to that. Ina, let's come to you and talk to you about your entanglement.
Yeah. So I just put in. So I think because like I'm relatively new, like I have only been around for a year. I think my entanglement is that there is a man called Owen, and like he's like a brother to me. Like I think he's like a hacker, like a mechanic, like a tech kind of person who like help me like do maintenance every now and then. And so like he's like someone like a man in his 30s or 40s in appearance, and but like I know he is looking for the cybertone. Like he wants the cybertone and it's powerful. Some reason he wouldn't disclose, but I know like he's searching for it, and he seems desperate that about like obtaining it.
But he's not aware that Ono has it.
I don't know if he knows. I haven't told him.
Okay, so Ina doesn't know if he knows. And I assume that you haven't said anything to Ono about this.
Yeah, I think I'm still thinking about how to approach this situation.
Okay. I like it particularly if maybe this isn't even a person who's one of the iconoclasts or anything. It's just somebody who has heard about the cybertome. I think that sounds good.
Yeah, he definitely has no relation with like any big faction we currently know of. He just wants it somehow.
Okay. And then what did you put down for your drive?
So currently my short-term drive is freedom from my pursuers.
So right now, what's kind of top of your mind is that there are these people that are trying to find you, that are trying to take you, that have that unusual icon uniform, and you want to escape them.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of a little bit of like an ongoing paranoia. You don't know where they're going to come from, what their resources are, what they want. Okay. And then what is your question?
Yeah. So I framed this in like a way like Aina, like a AI would frame this. So the question is humanity provably safe? And basically what this question entails is that like because when like people are making things like they are making Android like slaves and like AI and like I don't know how cars and stuff, they want them to be provably safe, right? Like AI won't take over the world and like Android won't like defy their masters and like power cars won't like jump out of the sky road and kill people. But I think in time I have this question, which is that when humanity makes things, they want things to be provably safe. But like is other corporations or like organization who make these things themselves like safe for humanity or society? And is humanity itself safe for like so how do you define like what's safe and for who?
Interesting. So not a question of can they be made, or are they at this present state provably safe?
Yeah, no, I think this is an ongoing question. Like, is like, does humanity like meet the standard it imposed on everything they made?
Okay. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see like how that question transforms as you get answers to that. Since I think we all know what the answer is. But yeah, I think that's great to see. That's an interesting, potentially evolving question. Okay. That sounds good. That sounds good. We're going to skip over Ono. We will come back. Hopefully Joe will join us. They sent me an email after the session asking a couple of questions, so I hope they'll be here. But let's come to Cora. Mike, tell us about Cora and what they've picked.
Picking.
What they've picked. It's like I'm from the south of America. Okay. What they have picked for their her entanglement.
Sure. Cora is playing the empath playbook. She uses she/her pronouns. My entanglement is similar to Ina's, I think, in that I said I want to learn about empaths from Mercury, who is also an iconoclast. So I linked directly into the people chasing Ono. If that's too close, I could shift it to one of the other PCs.
Let's leave that as it is for the moment, and maybe when we'll see what Ono wants and things like that. But basically, there is this group of iconoclasts. Does Cora know that this Mercury person is an iconoclast? One of the people that are hunting Ono, do you think?
I'm thinking maybe yes. So I think Cora's opportunities for meeting other empaths is limited. But she might have encountered this person while they were looking for Ono. And I think there's a kind of tension in Ono and Cora's relationship already, because he's aware that she's an empath as well. So I think this is kind of like she's so desperate to learn, and we'll get into that with the drive in question, that she would keep this a secret from Ono, and believe that she can kind of manage this situation without causing harm to anybody. But we'll see.
Okay. And then what did you pick for your drive?
My drive at the moment is to learn about empathic powers from other empaths.
Okay. That seems classic.
Yeah, I hooked into
good.
the playbook a fair bit for these.
And your question?
Question is, can I be rid of these powers? It's listed in the playbook as the burden. So I kind of want to see, is this something I can be rid of? And same with trigger. My gut feel is that the answer is no, but we'll play to find out.
Well, as well, it's another one of those questions that can change or evolve over time as your relationship to those powers changes. All right. So we are going to begin, and Trigger, you have a start a session move. We're going to start and resolve this. So let's take a look at it. This is our first time doing that. So you begin with a transform stat of 0. And at the start of session, you're going to roll with that transform stat. So go ahead and make that roll for me.
Okay. Let's do it. Oh.
So that is right out of the gate. Good.
Yep.
Because you want low on this. This is the roll that you want low on. Okay.
Yep.
So on a 10 plus,
on a miss.
tick. On a miss, you're going to add 1 tick to the clock. That's it. We just tick that clock forward.
Done. Yeah, I've got the clock up on the keeper near the chrysalis. What's that currency?
Potential.
The harm clock. Yeah, the potential. That's right. That's what I was looking for. Potential. That word.
What do we think we see for you wherever? Let's say you're outside on the street. What does 1 tick on the transform clock look like?
I think we see Trigger getting up off the sidewalk, like they've been collapsed on, like they've been on the ground, and we see them like kind of like just prop their one hand up on, like they've been lying prone. They get it up, prop themselves up with one arm, and they look around like panting, like there's sweat covering their face. Their like kind of longish black hair is kind of falling over their eyes, and they shake it away to try and get their bearings, and they look around, and they're feeling shame and embarrassed as people walking past and looking down at them, and slowly get to their feet and get their bearings and try to remember what it was that they were supposed to be doing.
And I imagine there's a few people that see you, but the veil works to edit you out very quickly, so that it moves you around so that you don't disturb people's. So I imagine that there's probably, the veil has like a little clock that says, please respond. Do you need emergency services? And there's a countdown clock, like you need to touch it to turn it off, or they will call emergency services for you. And you have to kind of tag that, and it'll go all clear. And then it sends you a whole set of messages about pain relief and other kinds of advertisements that come shooting down in that might be useful for someone in your condition. Ina, you have as well a start of session move, correct?
Yeah, it's the the first question one, right? Yeah, okay, let me get the dice roller. This is just 2d6, right?
Just
Like
flat.
no,
Yeah.
yeah.
Both of these things don't roll with a state, so you don't have to mark a state when you roll these.
I got a 10.
Awesome. Awesome. So that's a good one. That is one that you get to establish some things. So if you get a hit, MC will ask you a question and you're going to get to answer this question here. Is there any one of those you'd like to start with? Like let's because we're kind of starting out, I want to give you the opportunity if there's one that
Yeah, so also, does the cyberbrain thing means that now you will ask 2 questions? Like,
yeah, let me go back up to that. Yes, you get 2 questions.
yeah, okay.
So tell me one that you want me to ask that you particularly feel like answering, and then I'm going to follow that up with one I'm going to pick. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to pick what is my purpose?
So now, what have you kind of put together here at the start that you feel that you've kind of come to an understanding that is your purpose?
Yeah, so I think like my purpose is that it's some kind of experiment to create the ultimate AI, because like I have talked about like a lot of AI are like all androids are like emotionally stunted, and like it's unknown if this is like is because like the technology isn't there yet, or it's because like their manufacturer like purposely like stunted them so that they wouldn't rebel. But for some reason, like the reason I am given more like sentience and like autonomy is because someone is trying to like create a runaway AI that will just grow and grow, and they believe like this is a way for that to happen. That by giving me like emotions and autonomy, I will be able to like surpass like previous AI models.
And let me ask you this. When you first awoke, were you damaged or were you fully intact and complete?
Yeah, I think where is that? Yeah, I think when I think that I think this ties back to Owen. So like I think we didn't establish right. So I think like actually Owen is the first one to find me, and I think like when he found me, I could barely move, right? He is the one who fixed me up, and like so that's how like he became like a brother, like one of the person who's dearest to me. And like all the running around happened after.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
So after Owen had found you and kind of gotten you repaired and you're out, that's when you met Ono and kind of formed that bond with him,
Yeah.
with them. Sorry. Okay. That sounds good. I like that. Cora.
Oh, sorry, Lol, I just wanted to jump in quickly.
Sure.
We have a bond question with Trigger that they which was I think Ina's first bond question. I'm just wondering how you and Mona see that fitting in with what we're just talking about. So the bond question, if someone found you, built you, or modified you since you were discovered, you mark one bond with them. And I think last session we said that was Trigger, but we can change that if that's
Well, I think it still makes sense that they did something to help you out since then. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it says like since you were discovered, right? So I think like O1 is the one who discovered me, but like I maybe like somewhere in between, like I'm no longer with him, and that's when like this bond happened.
Yeah, we'll think about what it is that is the assistance, the service, the help that you've rendered in that case. Okay, let's put a pin in that, and we'll definitely come back to that.
Sounds good. Just wanted to flag that.
Sure.
Thanks.
Cora, where do you crash at night, or whatever counts as your downtime sleep cycle? Like, where do you live?
So I think Cora's been through a series of different apartments around the place. One of the playbook moves that I took was psychometry.
Yep.
If you want to, I don't know how that word is pronounced. So she can kind of read the emotional resonance in a place. So I imagine living in a city where you're renting an apartment, every place you go has some baggage. So I imagine she's moved around. As each place becomes overwhelming, she moves to another place. I don't think any of them are particularly large or spacious or grand in any way, shape, or form, but kind of, nice.
And this pickup that you get, this background radiation, do you think, like, is it something that is purely in your mind? Does it manifest out like through your powers? Does it manifest out through the veil? Like, what do you imagine is that kind of, yeah.
So I definitely think we see echoes of it in the veil, but whether that's coming from the veil or that's something that Cora is picking up on with empathy powers and then manifesting in the veil. We did have something in the palette about unconscious things leaking into the veil. So she's not sure if there's like digital ghosts, digital hauntings, or if it's something else.
And so you are tapped out on money right now. You've got some cred, a little bit of cred, right?
Start with 3.
Start with 3. So you're actually in pretty good shape, but like, are you a person who's going to be squirreling that away, or are you a person that's spending that? Like, what does that 3 coin mean to you?
Yeah, I think that is she would be squirreling it away. I think that's the getaway plan. Because empaths are not strictly legal. It's a case of always being prepared to run, always being ready to pack up everything and just go somewhere else. So she needs to have that money as a contingency.
So what's your gig right now? Like, if you're squirreling it away, you're clearly trying to do some things to keep yourself going. And again, we're talking about post-scarcity. So one of the things is that, like, physical needs, those kinds of things, food, shelter, those things are often easily met, but we've got a whole set of intangibles and systems of control over rarity and things like that. So what what does Cora do to survive and get by and try and thrive in this environment?
She's a performer. I mentioned during the session 0 the concept of an aerial silk, which is a type of performance art where you hang from something suspended and perform different poses and drops and things.
And so she is gigging right now and in one of these performances. And are you up high?
Yes.
Are you in the middle? Okay, so you're up high. Okay. You're up high in one of these places. Again, we've established that height, those kinds of things being up, represents power, and then you've got access to higher things. And you're trying to perform this. Is this a solo or is it a group performance, do you think?
No, it would be a solo performance, I think.
Okay. Then let's have you do this just because I want to always get to some roles here. Let's have you roll risk. I think this is what you're doing is a little bit dangerous. So I think you're trying to pull off a spectacular performance. And when you roll risk, it is a roll that you're going to roll with a state. So you pick what state you think represents the role that you're making here.
So it's a toss-up between fear and joy. I think I'm going to go with joy for this
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So put a tick on joy, and roll with
joy.
roll with +1.
Alrighty. That's an 8.
That is an 8. So, what is it that throws you off tonight? Just a little bit. I mean, you're going to succeed, but what is it that happens that throws you off your game?
So I think part of the reason why Cora got into performance in the first place is to create positive emotion, because being the kind of center of attention of a bunch of positive emotion is a powerful experience and much better than the alternative. But I think tonight something in the audience is off. I think I get there's a strange feeling coming out of the audience that either somebody is very unhappy or very negatively emotional, or there's just a general feeling of negative sentiment in the audience.
And I think that kind of wave hits you. You kind of make that misstep and catch yourself before you can take that fall. And it's more that you know that you were off more than that the audience, picks up on anything. But I think when you get to the ground, kind of walk off from that, you'll see that a lot of people are up in their veil, and you can see that there's some kind of news feed that's popped up, and I think you'll pull up your thing at the veil, and you can see that there's a bunch of on-site camera work and so on, and it looks like this is a city that has towers, multiple towers. These towers go up. We've got a mid-range that's built, and then sort of down below, several levels down below, is the kind of a concrete jungle, not literally concrete, but actually growth and kind of oxygen generating forests and jungles and growth down there, several levels. There's a lot of that natural stuff that grows up along towers and things like that. But something has happened. No one's sure what, but one of the towers has collapsed. And like this is kind of unprecedented, and people are freaking out about that. And they're calling people that they know, and they're checking in, things like that. And that seems to have thrown you off.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound fair?
Yeah, and I think that after having a slip and a near miss, like the heart would absolutely be racing by the time she hits the ground. And Cora's a person that feels things deeply. So seeing that a tower has fallen and potentially people are in a lot of trouble, she would that would affect her a lot. She's probably not feeling well at this point.
What's your reaction? Fight or flight or hide away? Like where do you go from here?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think she would probably run towards danger. So
Okay.
she would be keen to try and see, like, if this is happening in real time, that maybe there are people that need help.
Okay. So I'm going
she would
to
go.
cut with you seeing the video and heading out. Trigger. What is it that you are doing right now to get by? Let's look how you've got a couple cred in the bank, so you're doing okay, but you've also got, you know, the problem that you can't really hold a steady gig, and you've got, you know, some personal obligations and things like that. So what is it that we see when we come to you that you are doing as your jam right now?
Well, if it's okay with you, Lowell, I was thinking that the trigger is trying to hang on to a steady gig.
Okay.
Like this stuff is starting, all this transformation is starting to impact
Sure.
them in their work, and I think that they've been working at the I think that that's where they met Whiskey. I think they
Okay.
work at the same place. I think Whiskey is like maybe not the director, but maybe like the head, a lower level head of security or cybersecurity, and Trigger is involved in the what's I don't know if we I don't think we have. I want to move away from corporate companies. What about if they're working at a church, at the Church of Magnificent Perception?
Okay. And it provides
Seeing as we're
security
talk,
services?
yeah, and Whiskey, but I think they work in slightly different departments. Like I don't think Trigger was working directly for Whiskey. I think Trigger is working on the message, on getting the message out and into the Vale, and how that's presented to, you know, as part of to the general public, or the community.
So you come back into the workplace that has a certain kind of office, like cubicle structures, like you know, a phone farm kind of area, but then also a church out front with services and things like that. And I think when you come in, there is your manager is waiting for you, and they say, Trigger, we need to have a talk. Why don't you step into my space over here?
Okay.
Moves you into the space. You know, everyone can hear you, see you. It's one of those open cubicle formats, but they try to play that, in fact, there is privacy here, but there is none. People just turn their veil up to 11 to keep the others out. So we here at Magpur are very, very glad to have you as part of the team, as part of the faithful of the flock, servicing, providing to those that we care for here. And we worry about everyone, but especially our employees. We always think of them as family. And sometimes when we analyze the metrics of the family, we find that perhaps they aren't keeping up as much as they have been, and we worry about them. And worry about as well there's some unusual activity alerts that we've gotten. What can we do to make you work better?
I think Trigger's really nervous in this moment and I think is in really wants to understand, what the motives and the real question is behind this question. Like, are they, they're worried that they're transfer about, do they know something about the transformation? Am I going to get fired? All these questions that go running through their minds. So I'm thinking they're studying what's the name of the person of their supervisor?
This is your manager, Robert.
Robert. Perfect.
Never Bob. Robert.
Right.
Said with 2 distinct syllables.
Rob. Yeah.
So Robert, you want to analyze, kind of assess him? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
What do you want to roll that with?
I think this is fear. Yeah, this is definitely fear.
Okay.
So I'll roll assess with what's Trigger's fear? Let me just I think it's 1. Memory, yep, 1. Does that sound right to you, Lowell?
Yeah, fear is 1. Sounds good. You put a check on fear.
Okay, that's a 1. No, that's a 7. Sorry,
7. Okay. So if we look at the assess, you've got a hit. You've got 1 hold to spend, or 2 hold if you want to pay a cost.
I think I'll spend it. I want to ask a question about the situation,
Okay.
I think. And I think
what is your question?
And I think that this is where, and maybe you can answer it, because I think Trigger's going to ask in this moment, I've got to find Trigger's voice.
Sure.
Yeah. Have I done something wrong?
And I think you can tell that this is not like anything particular that you've done wrong. Like, you can tell that that's not what's going on. It's that they track you. They track you all the time. They track work performances. They track metrics. They response time. They track all of that kind of thing. And over the course of the last several months, there is an ongoing pattern of deterioration. And it has triggered an alarm here. And Robert is here to see if there's something going on in particular. And he will, reach out with his hand and say, I just want, like, if there's something happening that we can help you with, just let us know. Magpur is here for you.
And I think Trigger kind of like brushes the hair out of their eye, and we can out of their eyes, and it's like, no, I'm fine. I'm okay. And then tries to change the subject. Like, is like, did you like that last message I sent out?
And I think Robert will let you kind of play off. This is a first warning kind of thing, They say like, again, they'll yes, and I think they're at the end. They will stop again, and they clearly, this is clearly a checklist that they're working through. They again reach out a second time to establish physical contact and put their hand on your shoulder, and they say, I just wanted to know that you are seen.
And I think Trigger just nods but doesn't want to say anything more, like for fear that it'll incriminate them, and tries to leave as soon as possible.
Oh, absolutely. And I think when you
Yeah.
step up, that no one is paying attention, but I think it feels like everyone's watching you.
Absolutely.
And then I think that we do start to see people, like you'll see people turning, and you can hear the pings of feeds and things like that as this news event kind of starts to wash through on people's feed right now. What is it about that tower that would make you like leave and go there?
Is that to Trigger, or is that to?
Yeah, Trigger.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So I've seen this on my feed, that this tower is collapsed.
It's
Is that
collapsed,
what's
yeah.
happened? And okay, I think the only thing that would make Trigger go there is if either that place had some personal significance to them, like they lived there,
Okay.
or it was or someone they cared about was in danger there.
Which
I
is
think
it?
that
Is there
caused them.
somebody there that
Oh,
or is it that this is your house, and with it has all your stuff in it?
I am going to roll like a chance, kind
Sure,
of
feel
like,
free.
so yeah, I'm just gonna roll a d6. If it's 4, 5, or 6, they live there. Okay. It's a 2, so it's someone they care about is there.
Okay, we'll come back to that and figure out who
Yeah.
that is. Ina, you don't have money. This is not something your character has yet kind of gotten used to or adapted to. Where do you like live?
I think, right, I think because like we have established that they are all these androids, and like some of them are like largely organic and some of them are like mechanical. I think there is such a thing like called a clone tail. So like it's like a small it's supposedly a hotel for like organic android, like like the clones, but it's really like those capsule hotel in Japan, but like even more claustrophobic because like the capsule are like smaller. They are basically coffins and they are stacked one on top of the other. So it's really a glorified storage unit with like the bare minimum of like support to keep like the organic androids functional.
You think about the inorganic? We established that the inorganic are kind of treated badly, and the organic, sort of the ones, the fleshies, are treated a little bit better. So are you imagining this is for the ones that look more mechanical?
No, I'm not sure. Did we establish that the organic ones are treated better?
Yeah, that's one of the things you established last time, is that there's a distinct difference between the treatment of the organic, the ones that look human, the fleshies, and the ones that look mechanical, and you're kind of in between.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, so I think this is one for like the mechanical ones because I don't actually have like flashy parts, so I don't need those accommodations. And
Yeah.
I think let's make it cheaper.
Yeah, I imagine that there is this is the kind of thing that is actually provided as a gratis service, because most of the mechanical ones are owned and managed by companies or things like that. So they provide essentially a place to plug in your iPhone, which is what effectively this
Yeah,
is.
actually, I think I'm not even there like legally, or I think I am basically squatting there, right?
Yeah.
Because I think like some of the like mechanical ones are actually pretty large. So like maybe like a mechanical like animal, like a beast or burden kind of thing. So like the place for them is basically a car, like a parking garage, a parking lot. So there's extra space you can squat.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find a place to kind of plug in. You have a little bit of the problem that Ono does, in that both of you have kind of entered into this world, but you're not as fully connected. This is a world that kind of has established what people's ranks and classes are in terms of access to things. And I think that you kind of have found this place outside of that. What do you what is the typical reaction of these chromers, these chromies, when someone like you comes in?
I think they are confused, right? Because like they have all these directives. Like I think like they are confused, but they are not going to do anything, because like their assumption is basically, if I'm here, then someone must told me to come here. So like because like they only do what they are told, so they cannot imagine like someone would just come here and like because they want to, or something like that.
And what have you been doing besides sort of crashing here and stuff, like to try and get by? Or what have you been doing to try and acclimate over the last, like, you've been out for a year, we established, but what have you been doing the last few months?
Yeah, I think I'm going to say I have been binging like entertainment media at like accelerated rate in an attempt to understand humanity. So like
Absolutely.
I'm like doing like murderboard diaries, and I'm binging soap opera, and I like, oh, so that's what like family is like.
You're watching multiple streams of Freevee and all the other,
Yeah.
free access things that have been going down. You are there when you will hear a sound, an alarm go off in the facility, and you will see where there are all these different bays that different robots and androids and from a food cart android to a street sweeper to a hauler here, and you will see on a bunch of those bays there's a alarm, and then you'll see a panel turn red on it, and like sort of as a group, a bunch of these machines start to pile out and start to leave as a group, as a swarm. It's like nothing you've seen before.
Yeah, so they are going to like the damaged like tower, right?
I think as you're pulling up your feed, they kind of start looking. It looks like they have been automatically, triggered even if they're not, designed for this kind of thing, that they've automatically been triggered to be sent to this emergency scene. And they are kind of all heading out. You'll see like one of them is like a pretzel cart thing, and you'll see it will spray those pretzels out to clear its cargo bay to essentially be used for hauling of materials or corpses or whatever. And it's that kind of thing, as they're kind of suddenly triggered an entirely different set of commanded responses from the androids.
Yeah, I imagine there's like some version of like Asimov's laws, like first directive or something, like they are like compelled to render aid to like human casualties.
Absolutely. It's not it's like it's built into the system to send them out as frontline into dangerous situations, and you will see them rolling out. Do you go with them? Do you watch them? Do you do something else? What do you think is your reaction to this?
Yeah, actually, I think I want, if it's okay, I want to say I was like hell forced to go there. So like I was curious, but I think like before I can go, like I can make a decision. I think there's this like, it's basically what is it called, animatronics, right? There's like this, and I think like it's like a like a cartoonish robot dinosaur that's like animatronics of like one of the entertainment program or something, and so like it's all like, neighbor, it's time to render aid, friends, lend me your strength, and like I think like it's basically like put like hauling like everything and everyone like out of the like the storage, and when it seems it's like, friend, it's time to follow your directives and help your neighbors, and very like cheery, toxic, positive way.
Absolutely. And it's kind of grabbing up other small humanoid androids and things, and it will grab you up in its arms in a hug and begin to roll out to the disaster site.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take our first break. Let's take 10. We'll come back at about 20 after, and then we'll continue on, okay?
Yeah.
So let's find out some things about our city. We have these towers. They reach up. I've got that as a thing. We've got the idea of there being some mid-levels and being some under-levels that are vegetated. I imagine it's kind of a city that's been built up over multiple layers. We've got that highly vegetated, highly overgrown under layers. Tell me, like, Cora, what do these towers look like? Are we talking like kind of messy, built up? Are we talking gleaming ones? Are we talking a variety of them? Like, what are you imagining there for the towers that we see?
Yeah, I definitely think there's some messiness to them. I think they've kind of grown organically, especially as the vegetation has kind of become such an important part. Perhaps that was an innovation at some point. This kind of vegetation that can grow in conjunction with a city environment to perhaps tackle with some of the climate change problems that were happening. And so I suspect that as more kind of levels were built up for people to live in, it's kind of had to route around some of that vegetation. So it is a bit haphazard as it goes up.
Yeah, I imagine it gets a little thinner the further we get up, kind of a little more gleaming and clean up above. Trigger, what is the transport here like? Are we talking standard ground transport and then elevators? Are we talking, high speed lines? Are we talking Blade Runner flying cars? Are we talking a mix of things? Are we talking something else? Are we talking like multiple tubes and walkways across like laundry lines or something else?
Wow. Yeah, there's so many options. I like the idea of um a mixture of transportation options. I think predominantly um I think that the majority of the middle and lower classes take larger, like fly, like it sounds a bit crude, but flying transports. I don't want to say flying trains because that kind of conjures up like, like locomotives. I'm thinking, but
But
something where it's like a
buses?
flying bus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but more in a, like, I'm thinking sleeker and um more like almost like caterpillars, or like, in like that sort of extensible type.
Yeah.
um
So we've got a set of space, the airspace that's kind of dedicated to these high speed multi-stage buses. I
yeah.
imagine that there are crosses where, one section will get dropped off and picked up by another one, and there's a complicated system managing that. And I
Yeah.
think that we see like all around in the Vale around here that, there are alerts, don't approach, and airspace closed and all of that kind of thing. And,
Yeah.
you have to like check what the nearest closest stop you can get is, and kind of head over that way. Uh
And I just wanted to add, I do think that the upper class and the are taking more private transportation as well, different types.
Absolutely. Uh
Mm.
Besides the overlay, Ina, of the Vale, is there anything sort of particular decoration wise we see generally on buildings? Are we seeing, specialized billboards? Are we seeing particular kinds of holographic sculpture? Or what's something that we're seeing there?
Yeah, I think I'm going to link into the like spiritual aspect. I think we see a lot of like things like paper talisman and like small like trail living out like with like I don't know milk or whatever they drink. Like I think there's a throwback to like this older like what would be considered pagan like heretical religion by like Christianity. So like they are I think there's a mix of like some people practicing like specific one and some people just like it becomes a kind of folk like Armageddon religion that but they would leave out these offering small crumbs of I don't know like soy beef and like have talisman like maybe like paper talisman is usually like a East Asia thing, but I think we even see some like let's read it in English or other languages and yeah stuff like that like a very obvious result of like a cultural fusion.
Yeah. And I think on a lot of these shops and things like that, they'll have multiple different ones because they want to appeal to different customers and things like that.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
see the Egyptian style hand with the eye, symbols, or onks, or weird writing. You can see all of these different ones. I imagine that there are techno priests who go around, adding these to various veil installations for a donation. So I think that's certainly something we're seeing on the ground. And as you say, we're probably also seeing some built little shrines of various kinds. Whether it's burning some kind of incense, or it's a statue, or it's the equivalent of a crucifix in little places around. Cora, there is dust in the air, kind of dust and smoke in the air here. I think that, like, as you reach the area, it doesn't look like there was an explosion. This isn't a huge tower, but it is like a skyscraper that has kind of collapsed down, and you're getting all of the dust and things like that. Doesn't look like there's anything was caught on fire, but it's an absolute mess. What do you want to do, Cora?
So two things.
Yeah.
When we were looking at the cybernetics, I did pick 3 pieces of cybernetics.
Yeah.
To add to the sheet, and one of them has oxygen backup in my chest.
Absolutely.
So I kind of want to close off as much as possible the air coming in from outside, and switch to backup oxygen.
Okay.
As it were.
Absolutely.
Which helps it to move through the dust.
So you want to try and get up close to the action?
I want to see if there is like a command center for some kind of relief effort, to see if there's somewhere where I can, I want to find someone in charge and run up and say, hey, how can I help? Where do you want to send me?
I think that you will see that there are several of these different multiple command posts, and you can see that people are being turned away, are being sent off. They're being told this is dangerous. We've got other things coming, and you can see that they are sending in mechanicals, but that they're trying to keep anybody human or fleshy from going in. So how do you want to do that?
In that case, I will try and get through them. I want to try and get into the site.
Okay. So why we can do this in a couple ways. We could do this as standard risk, or we could do this as divert, where you're trying to kind of distract and get, use a little more trickery to get past people here.
Let's do it with risk.
Okay. So what do you want to roll that with?
I'm going to roll that with fear.
Okay. And if you want, you can mark that piece of cyberware, put a check on it, and give yourself a +1, because I think it's appropriate.
Let's do that. So that will give me a total of +2.
Okay.
That is a 9.
That is a 9. So I think that you can make it through, but I think you're going to put an extra spike check on fear. Like, what is it that freaks you out as you're going in? Is it the physical danger? Is it the emotions around here? What do you think is doing that?
I think it's probably a combination of both, but there is likely a lot of empathic resonance here of people being afraid, and that's probably causing a feedback loop for Cora. So she would already naturally be afraid, and I think it's just cycling around and making it more difficult for her.
And I think I think we see you kind of climbing over the wreckage, getting through the haze, where other people that are trying to get through are coughing and turning back, and we see you in a clear space. As you can see, where the tower, it is in pieces. It is crashed down. There seems to have been some damage to the neighboring towers. Like, you can see where there are some chunks taken out, but they're relatively intact. And it's it almost looks like the lower floors gave way somehow. The floors that kind of go down below, and it's a mess. I mean, I think we're seeing like sparks of cables and water spray and all of that kind of infrastructure going off around here. And while there is no fire, if you've ever been near a house fire, it smells like burning plastic. That's all it smells like. And so that's the smell that is wafting over, even with your oxygen tank on. I'll come back to you because I'm going to try and I want to give everybody an action here once you get on site, and then maybe we'll try and meet people up. Trigger, who is it that lives in that building?
It's Trigger's parents.
When was the last time
Two-
you saw your parents?
I think it was last week.
Okay.
You know, they were worried about me, and so I felt obligated or compelled to go and pay them a visit.
So living parents, do you have siblings?
I think I do, yeah. I
Okay.
think I have a younger brother.
Okay. Does your younger brother live with them, or does he live off site?
No, I think he lives off site. Yeah.
So you will get to this area, and there is this chaos here. That on the ground, the smoke, the dust in the air, the command centers. What do you want to do?
I want to find my parents.
You want to try and get through as well?
Yeah. Can I see them? Can I see anyone I know from the building?
I think you're still like half a block or more away. They've
I'm
got the
still
perimeter.
the perimeter wall.
You'll see there
Yeah.
are various robots and droids and things rolling, trundling in. You'll hear the squelch because some of them aren't built to do it. Like they get jammed up, and like you'll hear the sound of one of them falling off a ledge here because the ground is unstable and crashing down below. But you
Yeah.
can't even see the building. They're keeping everybody back.
Yeah.
You're gonna charge through, or you're gonna sneak through, or you're gonna try and muscle through? What do you think?
I'm gonna try and I'm gonna try and talk like through. I want to see someone in who looks like they have some authority. And I'm gonna try and, you know, I'm gonna try and convince them to let me through because I want, I have to go and find and see that my parents are okay.
So running up to one of these command post people who's turning people back, like reflexively sending people back. What is it you're saying to them? Try and sway them to listen to you.
Good question. Does Trigger know whether or not like a plea for empathy or like in this type of circumstance that they would be able to be let through by security or whatever in that circumstance?
That's a really good question. There's only one way to find out.
Yeah. Well, let's do it then. Because if
you're appealing to their better nature.
That's right. That's right. Like, that's right.
So,
like, my parents are in there. You have to let me in.
What do you want to roll that sway with?
This is fear again. Yeah. It's they're worried for their parents. So let's do it. Yeah. You have to let me through. That's a 10.
So that is a 10. So on a 10, they do it, and they're going to choose one. And they're going to let you through. So I don't have to worry about the string. But I think that this guy looks at you and kind of steps you to the side and says, I understand. And he puts his hand out. And he's clearly saying, Drop a cred
Give
in
me
my hand and I'll
cred.
let you
Yeah.
through. Do you do that?
Okay. Yeah, of course. Like
Okay.
without even thinking about it, because like yeah, and he like breathes a sigh of relief and just like slams the cred into their hand into the hand and
What does a cred
races
look
through.
like? Is it an electronic coin? Is it something physical? Is it some hybrid? Is it an NFT? Is it something, you know, more tangible or paper or what? Or like a virtual coin?
Yeah, I let me just look at some of our at our palette just to see what. Oh, I think that it's this is I'd love to use this as an opportunity to evoke the culture and communities like that we're that might be present in this kind of futuristic
So
world. And
I
so
imagine we have like the equivalent of Doge coins for different communities.
yeah, like tokens, and they can be wildly different, and they all
Yeah.
have like they're entirely unnecessary because like it could be like it'd be so easy to make it digital and to have like it's purely for identity and for cultural like communal expression, and so they've got
Yeah. So
symbolism and
you drop one mag per buck into their
yeah,
hand, which they'll
yeah.
run through the conversion and let you through. So mark a cred off.
Yeah, and I like if I can describe it, I think
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I think it's like this. It's a sphere like that looks like like almost like a pearl, but it's translucent, and it like you can see different colors from different angles, like, but it's a pure sphere,
Okay.
but you can look at it and it looks like iridescent inside.
Drops down into his hand.
Yeah, one of these
Clink.
little pearls. Yep, magpie pearls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can rush forward. As I said, you can see that the lower levels have collapsed down. They're gone. Some of the mid-tier levels and upper levels seem to be more intact, but it's an absolute mess through here. We'll come back to you in a second. Ina, this uh, Dino companion bot has you in its huggy grip, and do you stick with it as it's taking you to the site?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Then I think there is this march of the machines as all of these different vehicles and robots purpose for different things are kind of rolling forward. There's a gap in the perimeter where they're essentially letting the machines through and sending them like a blip set of instructions, tasking him for different things. And they kind of don't pay attention to you. You seem like just another cog in the wheel here. And it is smoky and unpleasant. And you hear like a number of these robots are clearly being sent, these androids being sent in without like real sense of protection or care for what happens to them. I think you'll see the Dinobot drop one of these humanoid androids that's by you, one of these chromes, and it'll start walking forward, and you'll hear a sound, and you'll see a slab of masonry fall from above and just crush it. And you're getting dragged into this very dangerous situation. What do you want to do?
Hmm. Yeah, I think I'm probably in a bit of a panic. So I was like, what's going on here? What happened?
Uh, the robots are focused on this task. You don't see humans around here with you. There's nobody to like the dinosaur says, all will be well, friend. All will be well, friend. All will be well, friend. Even as it's pushing forward, trying to find people. Do you want to try and help out? Do you want to try and find a person? Do you want to try and get to safety? What do you think?
Yeah, I think do I know that Trigger's family live around here?
I don't think Trigger lets out much about their lives at
Yeah,
all.
but so like I don't think I'm doing this like rational, but I think I'm just running around and trying to find someone I know.
Okay.
Even though I don't have any reason to think like
Yeah,
someone would be here.
let's have you roll risk and like what's going to be the how hard it's going to be to kind of bring people together here. How does that sound?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I rolled a 5.
Rolled a 5. So what did you roll with?
A fear.
Fear. Okay. So put a check on fear. Oh yeah, that's right. I forget you don't have to pick. You have the delight of always having that. You will move forward, trying to get through this area, and you will step out and you hear something kind of collapse behind you, and you will realize that the area that you've moved onto is now kind of basically a pillar. You're kind of standing on top of it. You can see that the ground around this has collapsed down, and you can see, 40, 50 meters down below, there's more rubble and the start of the tops of trees down there for the underground jungle. And you kind of freeze as you realize you are a ways away from safety. The good news is you get to mark XP.
Yeah.
And let's then cross streams. Cora, I think as you are making your way up, like looking for people, you see these robots, androids, various ones going by, and then you will see Ina out on this concrete pillar with just the abyss around her. What do you do, Cora?
I guess first thing I'm going to call out. Ina, down here.
I, I, is it a good idea for me to move from here?
It's not a good idea to stay.
Okay. So I think I will try to move toward their direction, Cora's direction.
All right. Cora, so
Can I help them in some way?
yes, you can. If you have a bond, you can spend that after they roll. Or you can roll a help maneuver as well.
I can roll. Help out. Yeah, okay. I will do that.
Okay. What do you want to roll that with? Could you kind of imagine you kind of stretch your arms out trying to get at them, to help them?
Yeah, I'm gonna roll that with joy because I'm pleased that I have a friend here. Like seeing Ina is helping to dispense some of my concerns.
I think that sounds perfect.
So that's rolling with a +1.
Okay.
That's a 9.
That is a 9. So you will give Ina a +1. However, potential costs are shared. So Ina, let's have you roll fear with a +1 for the risk roll here.
I got a 4.
Okay, so the good news is you get to mark XP. But I think that Cora, like there's a gap, and Ina jumps towards you. And I think that you've never lifted Ina before. And I think there's a moment where you have an expectation about how much they weigh that is vastly different than the reality of how much it is. And I think Ina, you leap, Cora catches you, but then Cora is like slammed to the ground and is starting to get dragged over the edge here. The two of you starting to head towards the precipice. Trigger. You will see that. You see Cora trying to keep from going over the edge. Ina dangling. It's all going terribly wrong. What do you want to do?
Well, I think we see a moment of hesitation as Trigger looks up at the middle floors that are intact where their parents are. Not intact, but in still connected. They're damaged, I think you were saying, but they're still connected. But they quickly turn back and then they race to try and save Cora and Ina.
Okay. Just as an opportunity to show how fickle the dice are, let's have you roll. What do you want to roll that with?
Okay. What move am I making?
This is risk.
Risk. Okay, great. And I think that as Triggers was approaching, like racing through, they'd had time to, to think about their parents, like worrying where they are they okay? And they've been thinking about how they left them last week when they paid them a visit, and that I think that there was some lingering anger towards them, like
Okay.
that they were they like, why won't they just like leave me alone? That they're checking on me all the time, like, I hate having to hide them, and there's some guilt that they behave badly towards them, and so they're angry at themselves. And now in this moment, they're like, they're really worried about their parents, but they can't go and find them. So they're just, I think this is just anger. They're mad that that this has happened. They feel guilty about themselves, and they want to save their friends, but they're angry they're being distracted. So let's roll with mad.
Okay.
And see how that goes. It's a 9.
That's a 9. Now, you can, if you want, mark a piece of cyberware to say that if you have something that's appropriate, to move that up to a 10 to like do this awesomely. Do you want to do that?
Absolutely.
What is the cyberware? Is it cyber legs? Is it like
legs?
Okay, cyber legs. Okay, all right.
Yeah, let's do the legs.
So
is it one leg, one gear per leg, or is it?
So you just put cyber legs and then you put a check mark by it. And
gotcha.
Yeah. So Ina, Cora, there is this moment when you feel that sliding. You can see down below, into the darkness and the smoke coming up and stuff. And then there's the wrenching sound as Trigger grabs, activates the cyber legs and yanks both of you up onto this ledge, and you're all three of you are kind of catching your breath there, except for Cora. Actually, the two of you, because Cora's oxygen is still going, and I think that you kind of catch your breath, and now there's just kind of the sound of sirens and things kind of crumbling around you, and probably of drones going past overhead. So let's kind of imagine that the three of you have a chance to talk and like share like experiences or directions or figure out a plan here, which means I will swing back to Cora.
Svega, what are you doing here? We have to find people. We have to help. There may be survivors in here somewhere. And I would like to. Oh, it's incredibly dangerous. I would like to be looking around for survivors, but I'm going to reach out with my empathic abilities. And I'm going
Okay.
to use psychometry to read the emotional residue of an area to reconstruct past events.
That seems
I want to
like,
see if I can figure
yeah.
out where people are.
That seems perfect. Let's have you roll that. What do you want to roll that with?
I'm gonna roll it with fear. I'm really concerned that I'm gonna max out fear in the first session, which is amazing, but it seems appropriate. A bomb went off. Or something happened. I don't know what happened.
So that is a 7.
Yeah.
And let's look at this. Emotional residue, assess the situation. So you can gain 1 flow, or you can ask a question. And the question is certainly a fair question, is to say where are survivors would be, a fair.
Yeah, I also I gain 1 hold on an assess.
Yeah.
Because that's my potential thing. So I should have 2 hold. So
yeah,
I would like to do both.
Okay. So
and yeah, I do want to know, like, if there is someone nearby that was still alive after the accident, basically.
I think that we kind of montage this a little bit. And I think that we see in this montage you almost like those dogs and these sensor robots that are going around. You're probably actually more attuned than they are, because they've got a lot of interference and things like that. But you're able to go, here's a pocket of people, here are some people, here's people close by, and start moving them. And any of the robots that are here are kind of programmed to follow human commands in the area, so they are listening to you. What
So
are we?
I think
Yeah.
I think the smart thing to do would probably be to move through the building and tag as many survivors as she could.
Yeah.
But she's not thinking that clearly, so she's probably stopping and trying to dig out each person as she finds them. And maybe at some point she'll figure that out.
Yeah, I think there is a moment when you realize you don't have the tools, and you look at the blood on your hands. You've rescued quite a few, you've directed people to, but this is painful. In this montage, Ina, as you see Cora is finding people, pointing people out. What are you doing? What is the thing we see you doing on camera as this is happening? I think you might be muted, Ina.
Yeah, I think I will be trying to help.
So what is it you do? Like, how are you helping here?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to study the situation, right?
Okay. Then let's have you roll assess, as you kind of are looking around, trying to judge.
I got a 7.
Okay. So
yeah,
you can get 1 hold on assess, or 2 hold if you pay a cost.
what would a cost be in this context?
In this context, I would probably deal you 2 harm, just because you're walking around in a real dangerous and perilous area. 2 harm is not bad. That's harm that you can shake off afterwards.
Yeah, no, I think I'm good with just 1.
Okay, then you can ask a question or reveal a detail.
That's the question about situation. Can you come back to me in a bit?
Absolutely, absolutely. Trigger, you are making your way through here, trying to get to that middle section. That part of it that is intact. From the outside, it's hard to tell what floor is what. So you're not sure, which part. And you are going in to try and find your parents. So that does feel like assess.
Yep. And I think now that moment of adrenaline has passed, where they've saved Aina and Cora, I think now they're more overcome. The fear has returned. It's more like that anger has kind of subsided a little bit,
Sure.
and now they're afraid. So I'm going to roll again with fear for assess,
Okay.
as they're worried and looking, frantically trying to find them.
Before you roll,
Mm-hmm.
do you have any other piece of cyber gear that might help you in this process?
Yeah, I think I do. I think I have eyes,
Okay.
cyber eyes.
So you got at least 1 eye. So go ahead and put
Yep.
that in, and you can put a check mark by that.
Yep.
Use it and roll with a +2.
And I think it has, like, thermal sensors or
Nice.
something like that.
Yeah.
And so they're looking in a different spectrum, like to try and find that. So let me add that modifier. Here we go. An 11.
So that's an 11. So that is 2 hold, I believe, on assess. And if we look at that, I think that you can figure out where the level is where your parents are at. Now, you can ask a question. You could also declare a detail. You have 2 hold to do that.
Right. So I'm going to spend 1 hold to declare that they're alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely fair.
Yeah, hurt but alive.
Okay.
Yeah. And and when I see them, I race over to them and I'm like, are you okay?
Your father's having an attack. We need to get him out of here, someplace with oxygen.
What happened?
This building just gave way. It was no warning.
Okay, we need to get out. We need to get out of here. Where's the emergency? Where's the emergency exit?
So is that your question? Is what's the
Yeah.
fastest way out?
What's the fast way out of here?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that's right.
I think you will see. You've got to kind of drag them out. You found a hallway. Again, it would tilted sort of Inception-like, where the hallway is tilted, and you have to kind of bring them out of there, up. And as you get them up and out, I think you'll see like the flashing green lights of like a med station off in the distance through the smoke, and you can start to move them up out over that way.
Cool.
Aina, let me come back to you.
Yeah, I think I have an idea. I
Sure.
think I found someone like it's a young boy who like looks about the same age I look. And I think like they are like he is unharmed, but he is like trapped like inside this like small room made of debris. So like he isn't in any immediate danger, but also it's difficult to get out.
Yeah. You can probably see through a small hole. You've got some light and you can see down into there. And like, he's incredibly lucky the way the walls and things have kind of collapsed around, but he doesn't have much space in there. What do you do?
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is that I'm going to like check on him and like, are you okay? Can you get out? Like I'm doing like the standard kind of like first responder questions, but what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to trigger the Abyss stare back, because I think I have not interact with someone this young, and also like in this like very like dangerous, stressful situation.
That makes sense. I like that a lot, actually. What? Well, let's have you roll. You have roll with your fear. Are you using any of your cyberware with this?
Let me see. This makes sense. Yeah, I don't think any of it makes sense.
Okay,
Okay, I got an 8, so that's
that's
not bad.
nice. Good roll.
Let
So
me see. So
you
on a 7 to
generate
9,
one.
you generate 1.
Yeah,
So like the special currency, like the potential, they max out at 3, right?
yes, it does.
Okay, so if you are going to get more, you might as well spend it. I just want to make sure.
Absolutely.
Immediate user, ask a question, divulge a belief about yourself, inflict harm. I think I want to.
Are you unlocking an emotion this early? I think it'd be great. I mean, that seems like a perfect trigger for that.
Doesn't it take 3 humanity to unlock an emotion?
Oh, that's right. It does. It does take 3 humanity. So
Yeah, so I think against my better judgment, I'm going. I think I'm definitely like I'm calling for the others to help, right? Like I assume we have like at least some kind of instant messaging, like
oh yeah.
so I'm calling to like Cora and Trigger to like let them know there are this kid here, and but like against my better judgment, I'm going to try to getting out myself first.
And are you going to try and get advantage on that roll?
No, not yet.
Okay, you're going to hold on to the humanity. So this will be a risk roll. Now, do you have any of your cybernetics that you think will help you?
Yeah, actually, maybe I think.
I think either the ears or the eyes make perfect sense.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think I'm going to say the eyes this time.
Okay. So go ahead and roll. Mark fear and roll.
I got it too. Yeah, it's a 2, so.
I think that you are reaching through there. You're kind of scanning through. You kind of made a bond here with this child. And there's just a sound. And you're kind of thrown back. And the dust kind of rises up. I think we fade to black on that since we have a veil on that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's take our second break. Let's take 5, and then we're going to come back kind of in the aftermath of all this. So I'd like to cut forward just a little. Like we get to that morning where we've got the sun is coming up. And as much as anything, it's that the lighting here in the city changes and in the Vale, but now we've also got the smoke and such. So there's a weird contrast that is going on, and I think that all of you, kind of exhausted, will find your way to a place nearby off site. Trigger, you've made sure that your parents are tended to and so on, but and I think, Cora, by this point you're exhausted both physically and emotionally, and I know you're still trying to come to terms with this. What kind of place, like, are you in a, do you find yourself in a park? Are you in a diner? Are you at a sit down food stall? Are you in a pachinko parlor? Is it a coffee place? What kind of thing, Cora? Do you where do we come to, the three of you?
So I think there's been a relief station set up in a nearby park. So it'll just be some sort of pavilion tent things, probably a medical triage station, and yeah, some of the local food vendors have showed up to provide relief. So we probably all have terrible coffee in a polystyrene cup.
Absolutely.
Or whatever your beverage of choice is.
They've cooked up whatever they have that they can make in bulk, and they're doling it out for free to people, and you've got your cups of coffee, and you're sitting there. Yeah, the pretzel thing is back up and delivering. And so, Cora, what do the others see of you right now?
So Cora's in her mid-20s. She's pale skin and red hair. She looks absolutely shattered. She came from a performance, which is already a physically demanding thing, so she's still dressed like she's ready for a performance. She wears a one-piece white kind of yoga outfit for doing a performance, which is plain white in kind of real life, but then via the veil it projects multicolored feather patterns all over it. Her hair would have been tied up in some kind of pretty severe braid to make sure that she doesn't catch on any of the ropes as she's performing. But some of the hair has started to escape over the course of the night, and she hasn't bothered to fix it at this point. She doesn't wear jewelry, again, because that would catch on things, and especially not during a performance. So she has kind of the equivalent of like a physical tattoo over one side of her face, which looks like, if you've been at a beach with where there's a bunch of crushed seashells in the water, and so you end up with these small kind of pearlescent pieces of material attached to your skin. So it looks like that. Like she's just got this scattering of one side of her face of these things that kind of shimmer in the morning light. And yeah, she's got this haunted look to her eyes. She's exhausted.
And Trigger, what do we see of you? What's your appearance? What's your attitude right now?
Well, I think Trigger's also having a hard time of it. It feels a bit like their life is starting to fall apart. The towers crumbled down. Their parents are hurt but being tended to. you know, there's this trouble at work where they're worried they're going to get fired. They're worried about their parents. You know, this transformation, this change, it started happening to their body, and we saw it, like, you know, when they saved Aina and Cora, this strength that that they never had before. You know, it just reinforced that there's this change is happening, but it's you know, they don't want to deal with that, and they're trying to, I think they're agitated, and like I can imagine the Trigger's kind of like sitting down, you know, on the ground, I think, like with their like arms over their knees, kind of, and just like staring at the grass, and just like kind of you know, twitching, like in this nervous twitching that they're like that they feel like they should want to get moving but don't know what to do. And I think that's what we see.
And Aina, what about you in the aftermath of these moments?
Yeah, I think I shake and roll. It's not easy to tell because like I have control of like my expression and everything. But I think because I don't eat, I think I'm just sitting there. I think I'm going to use the RB stare back again. I'm looking on the web and the internet. I'm like trying to understand death, especially like accidental deaths, like people taken before their time because of illness or like accident or like.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things is, now this actually gives us a chance to kind of look at the mechanical part of this. So you spiked out fear.
Yeah.
So it means that now you actually be rolling with a better roll, a 0 instead of a -1.
Yeah.
And you'll uncheck that first fear box on the left. And then once you get all of, okay. So you know the drill. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page on that. So let's have you roll with a +0.
Yeah, I mean, like I normally I would be able to use a different state with the -2 if I want, but I don't have a different state to use.
Exactly, not yet.
Either way, yeah. I got a 3.
So the good news is you get to mark XP.
I hope you say that every time.
I do. The bad news is I think that you will hear some people moving past as you're kind of contemplating this, Aina, and one of them says, I heard that it was some kind of mechanical thing, that it was some kind of robot or robots that destroyed it. That's what I'm hearing now. Like, it's just like robots they hadn't seen before. I don't know. People are like, they're hearing all kinds of talk, and there seems to be this undercurrent of nervousness there, that there's already some kind of rumor apparently spreading around that this wasn't just an accident, and that some kind of robot or robots or androids, though you're getting contradictory statements, were involved. Does that feel like a fair hard move?
Yeah.
Okay. So people start to clear out. They're starting to move people along to other places. Cora, what do you say to the others? What do you go do?
I have a quick question actually
Sure.
for Trigger. You I wanted to know you mentioned having this unnatural strength. Was it evident during the rescue attempt that we went through, or is it something that you can't always tap into?
Like Cora, I'm sure would have noticed in that moment that that they had unnatural strength. That, like, you felt. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounded like you felt Ina's weight was more than what you anticipated, and you struggled carrying it. Trigger seemed to do it with ease. Like, it was almost effortless, like in the way that they were able to bring you to safety. And I don't know if Cora was aware of that or not, but before, but
Yeah, I think we did previously establish that I'm aware of it. You might be aware
yeah,
of
but
it.
we
and aware
don't
of it,
talk
but
about it. Yeah,
we haven't spoken about it, and I'm waiting for you to
yeah,
bring it up.
that's right. Yep.
So I think Cora is very aware of her companions and what the kind of state they're in. So feeling that Trigger definitely needs action of some description. He needs to be doing something. And I think Ina also appears to be distracted with something, although I don't think I know what that is yet. Although she's absolutely exhausted, she would, tell the two of them, come on, we can look around and see what we can find of. I don't think there's any more survivors in there, but maybe we can see what happened. And I want to head back in because I want to see if we can find evidence of the cause of this.
Oh, you're muted,
muted again.
Trigger, when Cora says this, I mean, is that what you want to do?
I think Trigger's distracted. But as soon as Cora suggests getting up and doing something, like, that speaks to them, and they're like, even though maybe they'd rather not look at the devastation of where their parents' house used to be, or what state that's in, and having to face that, I think that they're concerned about, and they'd go along. Yeah, for sure. So I think
you stand up, follow behind Cora. Ina, what about you?
Yeah, I think I don't know where to go, so I am going to follow as well.
Okay. So three of you will move back into the area. I imagine that you actually have to be a little more sneaky and cautious this time, but it's absolute, chaos. You just have to not look like you're here scavenging or clearly, obviously, journalists or whatever. And the three of you can move back into the building. So we can have one person roll assess to start. And if anybody wants to like throw in a bond or help afterwards, we can do that. Cora, you're the one who suggested this at first, so let's start with you.
Okay.
What is it that you're feeling as you go back into this place?
I think sad.
Okay.
I think this is. I'm torn between mad and sad here. Is she really angry? But I think because she doesn't have evidence that this is anything other than an accident at this point, I think sad.
Okay. So let's have, and we'll assume you're using psychometry with this, right?
Yep.
Okay. So go ahead and roll.
Ooh, that's a 5.
So I think as you are moving along through here, oh, by the way, the good news is you get to mark XP.
Thank you.
So as you are moving along through here and going down kind of into, yes.
Sorry, just a quick rules question, Lowell. Can multiple people spend bonds to help?
That's a very good question, and the answer is yes.
Okay, because Trigger would definitely spend a bond with Cora to help. If Aina does as well, if
Yeah,
they have
yeah,
one, I haven't
yeah.
checked.
Okay.
Then, given that the three of us are all looking together,
So we check in with Cora. Cora, are you
Mhm.
cool with them spending the bonds, or do you want to take the fail?
yeah,
I'm cool with it. I do get one hold on the SS anyway.
Yeah.
So I would still
Okay.
get a question.
Which way do you want
But
to do
I
it?
mean, I did specifically invite the two of you to come and do this, so I think it makes
Okay.
more thematic sense for you to join in and help.
So both of you will spend a bond, and they're kind of supporting you. You feel them like almost like a psychic anchor there for you. So you're going to get the option gain one flow to your assess picks. And let's have you tell me what you want to do for the assess here.
So I'm going to spend one hold on a question,
Okay.
which is, was this an accident?
As you are moving along through here, as you've gotten down to the lower levels, there is a section here, segments, like clearly some of the lower levels that then go to support columns that would have gone down into the jungle, and some under, like where mechanicals and things would have been. There is a section here that is missing. Like there's a floor that is gone. It's not, it's sheared away, and it doesn't, they're not seeing like burn marks or anything like that, but this just, like, something happened here. You can't imagine this could have been an accident. It isn't like the wielding gave way. Someone or something did this.
Okay. So I will spend one hold on gaining a flow.
Okay.
And one of the things I can do is I can spend a flow to share these psychic impressions with somebody nearby. So I think as Cora is getting a feeling for what happened in this place, she is sharing that with Trigger and Aina if possible. So I'll gain one, lose one.
Sure. Now, let me ask you a question. We know that Trigger is aware of your psychic abilities, right? Is Aina conscious of that as well, or not?
I don't know.
So one of my bond questions was that I'd use the flow to take solace or comfort with Aina in
Okay.
a time of need for us both. So yes, I suspect that I think all of my companions know in some way, shape,
Yeah,
or form,
yeah.
and that's part of why Cora is so comfortable around them, is because she doesn't have to hide herself when she's with them.
Then here is the important question that I have for you, Cora. Can you normally share your psychic connection, your abilities with androids, fleshy androids, or is Aina unique in that?
Don't think I have tried.
Okay, so we'll leave that as an
coming
open.
across Aina.
Yeah, we'll leave that as an open question. You're not sure, but you are able to make psychic contact.
Yeah, I think Cora was surprised that it worked with Aina, and she's not sure if that's because there is something special about Aina, or if it always works. And then there's that interesting question of the implications of that.
Yeah. Aina, what about you? What are you doing as you make your way through here? Are you searching for things, or are you doing something else?
Yeah, so because Cora shared what she found with us, right? Like the idea that this isn't an accident, that there's some design in this. Yeah, I'm going to try to like a bit step back again, but now I'm trying to understand the concept of murder, because like at first I thought this is just like unfortunate and like some people are died before like their age. But now I know that there's some purpose behind this. I'm trying to understand why would someone wants to kill other people.
Yeah, and I think that you do that. This isn't something you felt before. This is a new experience. Something on this scale. So yeah, let's have you roll it +0.
I got a 2.
Got a 2. So I imagine that you get to mark XP, which is good. But I think that you will get a little caught up in this. Like you've spiked yourself out and you're watching around on this. What is it that you step in or touch that causes you harm? Is it like a loose electrical cable? Is it some pile of sludge? What is it you think that happens there?
Yeah, I think yeah, I think it's something like pretty mundane. I think it's like a piece of glass shard, like in my food or something.
Yeah, I think that's what it is you step down and you're kind of distracted. You're not kind of paying attention. And I think then you realize that you're not like moving quite right. And you will look down and you will see that there is a shard of hardened glass and plastic that has run itself through your leg actuator. It's not doing it's not causing you harm. You don't have to mark harm, but I think you will like realize that you've really damaged that and you're going to need to get that fixed.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
kind of hobbling as you pull that out. You were kind of in another space trying to take this in and you just lost sense of the space here. Trigger, you're kind of following behind and you will get this like there've been some messages coming through, some beeps and things like that, and finally you will get a like it pops through on code and it was like, you will answer me, and you kind of realize that your friend, your girlfriend, has been kind of pinging you, and Whiskey is like now kind of punched through sort of your thing to say answer now.
My silence notification
Yes.
or whatever. Yeah. And I think is it right at the time where I see Ina's leg get like, and oh gosh,
how about inner conflict?
I was just about to say it, lol. You beat me to it. I think this is inner conflict for sure. Like,
what do you want to roll that with?
Yeah. Oh, it's such a, like, I think they're worried about Ina because they can see them damaged quite badly and want to rush to help, but are worried about, but annoyed at whiskey, like that this is, but also feel guilty. So
What's the dominant? Is it sad?
no, I don't think it's sad. It's mad or fear. Like either afraid afraid that Ina's hurt and that whiskey, that there's something untoward happening with whiskey, or the whiskey knows something about work, or it's something, or mad at whiskey for demanding their attention while they're trying to help their friend.
You said fear
so
first. That was the
I
first
think
one you
fear.
mentioned.
I think let's
Yeah.
go with fear. I think fear is stronger than mad. I think there's mad in there, but I think the fear is the dominant. So let's roll with fear.
So mark fear and roll with a +1.
Yeah, I'm nearly spiked out on fear.
You are.
Yeah. Which totally makes sense. Here we go. Oh, it's a 6.
So that is a 6.
I think I like it. I think that's appropriate. On a miss, the GM makes things worse.
Okay. So you get to mark XP.
XP. Yep.
And I think you look over at Ina and reflexively you swipe ignore.
Yeah, that's totally
and
where I was.
Before you even realize it, you suddenly realize, oh my God, I don't believe I did that. It's very clear that you saw it and you hung up on them.
Just hung up on it, like, yeah. Perfect.
And
Love it.
I think that we're going to kind of move the group out of this. You might have a chance to do some more investigation, but I imagine that we're going to kind of see the three of you come up and out as more people are coming in here to investigate, kind of staying out of the way of this. You kind of have to help Ina move out. Trigger, you expected maybe whiskey would be at the park there. Not there. And I think that's where we're going to kind of stop and take up from that point next time. Does that seem fair for everybody? Ina, let's take a look at your 3 of these things. So I don't think we hit your entanglement.
Yeah.
Not the drive, but I do think the question we kind of started to hit there, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So mark an XP for that. Cora, let's look at yours. We didn't get the empaths. We didn't get the drive, but here's a question where actually I do think we're hitting your question, because this power helped, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so I think that sort of complicates that question for you. So I think mark an XP for that. Trigger, I think we hit your entanglement there. We got that, especially because it made it more complicated. And I think either your drive or your question, which one do you think, like I think we kind of tagged at least one of
the
those.
drive, I think
Okay.
the drive, like,
Okay.
I think, that they're finding it harder and harder to escape or deny this transformation. The fact that they went and helped and used their strength, their transformation, to save Ina, and I think that kind of actively like put that in jeopardy,
Absolutely. Yeah, so mark another XP for that.
Also, Lola, I want to ask, do I
Yeah.
get an XP for a miss on a big start of session move?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's like the masks thing, where even though that's kind of a good thing for you, you still get to mark XP. So I would like to do quick stars and wishes, if you don't mind. Stars being things that you dug about other people's play or in the game or whatnot, and then wishes being things that you'd like to see for your character, things that you'd like to see more of or less of, and so on. So Jonathan, I'm going to start with you.
Oh wow. Yeah, so this was great fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really like everyone's characters. I think that they're very true to the playbooks, and I think everyone kind of leaned into their roles and I really enjoyed that. A star to Mona. I love the way that Ina's challenging the perception and the themes of how of synthetic beings and how that's coming in. And I thought I really like how you're bringing that to the fore with your drives and the questions, and yeah, I think that's really cool. And a star to Mike. I love Cora's the imagery of Cora and and the performances aspect was really cool, like the way that you described the performance and how the impact of you know that fail on or that not the fail, the difficulty with the performance and how that impacted her was really cool, and how and the description of the braid and all that sort of stuff. I really I can really picture Cora and got a strong sense, which is really cool. And Lowell, I really liked how you're moving us through this scene and helping us establish the world. Like it's daunting to do you know at the beginning because there's so much blank canvas, but I think I really like how you're guiding us through that and getting these action scenes and getting that connection. I think it's a really nice balance. So big star there. What wishes? I'd love to have for next session, I think more interaction with the dynamics or relationships between the characters. I think that would be really cool. It's hard to do at the beginning because we're creating the world and everything and finding our own places in it.
Yeah. Let's see if we can find some goals and pair people up to kind of play those out. Yeah, I think that's a good point.
I think that'd be really cool. And also I like the I'm really keen to keep this entanglement with whiskey. I want to see where how that complicates things further. So I think that and the way that triggers how this transformation is, see how it further impacts them, and
all right,
and try to answer that question. Can things get back to normal? So yeah,
nice.
That's cool.
Awesome. Ina?
Yeah, I enjoy this cast of character and the world we are building, and I think I also would like more interaction between the PCs because it's difficult to do in the very first session. And I am hoping the next time we will there's sometime in the future we will be bringing in like my pursuer and other things that would hit at my backstory bit. I think that's what I'm looking forward to. Otherwise, I think it's a great first session. We have a solid start on building a world, set up a starting situation, a mystery, and character dynamic. And I also hope Jose will be back with us next time so that we can further flesh out the dynamic between all four of them instead of just the three of us.
Yeah, perfect. I think that's a good point. So yeah, we'll try and bring in more character interaction, a PC interaction, and then a chance to bring in some of those backstory elements, particularly your pursuers. Awesome. And Cora.
Oh man, I took notes as we went, so I have rub it with 2 syllables is amazing. I might have to add the 1 minute manager to the veils so that Toxic Positivity Dinosaur as well was, if that's not a punk rock band name, I don't know what is. I really like the idea of I know watching soap operas, and I think just constantly trying to understand things that I think the rest of the characters likely take for granted. So concepts like murder and things like that. I think that's great. Keep doing that, Mona. That is awesome. I love the paper talismans and offerings at the lower levels. I think that really says something about the world, and I immediately, that started sparking in my imagination as something. How can I bring this in somehow? Like, what kind of offering does Cora leave? Was kind of the question that I initially jumped into for that. Lola, I want to give you a big star for constantly pulling things back to the palette and established lore. I think you do a great job of making sure everything is weaving back together. Yeah, huge stars for that. And for Trigger, using the mechanics to establish that your parents are in danger and then using the mechanics to save your parents, gold. That's amazing. In terms of wishes, I think everybody said, more interaction with the other PCs always after the first session is going to be a want. I think it's important that everybody establishes their own character, and then as we kind of mix together, I would love to see that. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this tragedy impacts Ina specifically. Again, that trying to question those things and figuring out what these things mean and how that's going to impact a character that is currently has limited emotions and will expand more. I think that's really exciting to me. And I would love if Whiskey saw Cora, Trigger, and Aina on TV.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Oh, these are all things that are doable. Thank you all so much. I really enjoyed it. I do love the Veil. I love the elements you brought in, the robot shelter, the performance, the workplace. Like, here's the thing: it gave me good material to work with, delicious stuff to play around with, in the way that I most enjoy as a GM. So, really good time. I am going to stop the recording.